There is a lot of big talk about the impact that social investment might have on frontline social sector organisations, and that's very exciting, and I really believe in social investment to make a difference in communities around us. But I think we're still failing to see some of that money really get through, and for organisations of all sizes really tapping into the potential that social investment has.
It's really important that there is no mismatch between the needs of social enterprises and what social investors are willing to finance, what finance they're willing to provide, and of course the terms on which they're willing to provide it. And at the moment, although I think social investment is really, it's great, there's a lot of hype, and there are some areas which I think there is just scope for great improvement.
Some of the hype is helpful in terms of bringing attention on this space, but some of it we think is not very helpful in terms of increasing expectations, making something sound a bit more important than it is, which in the longer term means that there could be a problem of credibility.
Most of the products and the financial instruments that are on offer nowadays in the social investment market are designed from the point of view and from the offices of the policymakers and the large investors, and maybe not taking into account that much what social entrepreneurs on the ground need and what are the challenges for grassroots social enterprises.
Social finance intermediaries could certainly benefit from recruiting people in from the social sector, because the vehicles and the finance models that they've developed have all been very highbrow, highly professionalized and far too complicated. Many people in the social sector complain and worry about the complexity. They don't know how to engage the models, they don't know how to speak to the intermediaries, and therefore it needs a voice from the social space to come into that finance world and make more sense of it.
There was a mismatch between the kinds of social investment being provided and the needs of social enterprises, and that was not just in terms of the pricing of finance and the size of deals that were available, but also in terms of the location of SIFIs and other investors, that they weren't necessarily regionally located, so there was localized knowledge that was missing.
Thinking about the user, it gives you two things. Firstly, it's about the need and who you're trying to help, who's the beneficiary, but also it tells you about your customer, about where the money's coming from, how it's going to stack up.
I think that the best way to try and make things more accessible is to simplify. I think part of that is around language. I think part of that is around the products that are on offer. But just making things more accessible to people is about making it sort of understandable, making it feel like it's for them rather than for other people, technical people, finance people.
From the perspective of the investee, the social enterprise that's trying to make the world a better place, why is social investment any more interesting than any other kind of investment, not a bank, a conventional financial institution?
A lot of it is developing products with returns that are simple and understandable, that also meets the objectives of the smaller social enterprises. I think there's some quite complicated products out there, but it's probably not the case that there are as many simple to understand products available for some of those smaller organisations.
Better social investment in the UK looks, I guess, a bit more responsive to what social enterprises and other social organisations are actually looking for, and it looks to take the best parts of venture capital and other commercial finance, but not necessarily mimic or ape them, but to develop them in new ways and kind of try to find new forms of value.
Better social investment would be more going on, more impact, so connecting some of those big sort of top-down things that are happening at one side with some of the smaller, more locally embedded organisations that are happening at the bottom end. But actually, ultimately, I think it's about delivering more impact.